Isaiah Hartenstein is officially a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder as he signed his contract with the Thunder today and had his first little press conference presser with the Oklahoma City media, whether it's, local news channels with members of the Thunder such as Nick Gallo and Paris Lawson. A few of those people were there interviewing him, asking him some questions on why he chose Oklahoma City over returning to a team like New York or going somewhere else like Orlando. I know Detroit was in the mix, and I believe there was one other team. I can't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure there was also a, if my math's right, fifth team in there with us competing for Isaiah Hartenstein this summer. So there were a lot of questions asked what broke down his decision to come here, along with some of the, just kind of extracurriculars of what actually appealed to OKC and what made, his final decision. And so here on Thunder Digest, we're going to break it down here in this video today. Before we get all this, though, I just want to take a moment and say, if you guys find yourself coming back on a regular basis and you enjoyed the content here on the channel, go ahead, please hit the subscribe button. It's totally free to do, and it's the best way to support the channel. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into the video talking about what Isaiah Hartenstein had to say at his first little press conference, and meeting with the media as an official member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we're going to go ahead and get into the first set of quotes here right now. And it just kind of talks about, how it was a tough decision, right? Just a little context. It goes into how it was a tough decision because it came down to between New York and Oklahoma City, his final two options there. And so it was just tough for him to actually decide, okay, do I go to OKC or do I stay in New York and take a little pay cut but for a longer deal? And so he broke that down and answered that kind of question here in this comment. If I'm honest, it was hard. I was in a situation where I love my teammates out in New York, Hartenstein said. I really appreciate what Tibbs and Leon did for me, and the fans in New York showed a lot of love. The appeal to play for a title contender allured Hartenstein. In OKC, he can make a stellar front court with Chet Holmgren. The pair of 7-footers provide the Thunder with stout rim protection. But going into this situation, this is very exciting, Hartenstein said. From afar, I always saw how the culture was, especially since they've been in OKC, how they established a culture. This is by Clemente Almanza. And of course, if you guys have been on the channel before and you guys watch these videos or you're subscribed, I love to bring in his articles all the time. I think he's the best kind of beat writer and reporter out there covering the Thunder right now. And so I love just bringing in his quotes and his articles and kind of bring him on these videos and break it down what he kind of puts in there. And so definitely go check him out. But that's the first thing that really stood out to me. For kind of one of the first things that I saw is how he had a tough decision to make and ultimately chose OKC because he thinks we have a better chance of winning it all if he came here than staying in New York. He's trying to get a ring. He is. And he also said later on, I don't think I included it. We might go into the second, quote that I have here, break down what he says there. I don't think it's included. But he also talks about how he wants to do what's best to help the team win. How there is a question asked like, okay, we're all, OKC is considered one of the favorites now, maybe even the favorite to win it all after you came here along with Alex Caruso and the re-signing of Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. What do you have to say about that? He said, we haven't proven anything yet. We're 0-0. And I love that mentality on the team. That shows that he's here willing to kind of do whatever it takes to win and bring a championship to Oklahoma City. He doesn't care if he's necessarily a starter, off the bench, as a role player, as a six man. He doesn't care as long as it brings a ring to OKC. And with this quote as well, when he was talking about there, saying like he saw a championship opportunity in OKC. And that kind of just shows he saw that more here in OKC than in New York if he stayed with the Knicks. So he's like, okay, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get this ring and add it to my resume and help me get a bigger deal in the future with another team and kind of secure, like a long-term deal with another team when that time arises, because I'm not sure if he'll be here for his third year of his contract since it's a team option. We're either going to trade him or we're going to decline that team option and use it for extensions somewhere else. So it's definitely interesting to see what the future holds for him because we know for 2 years he'll for sure be on this team. All right, I have a good feeling if he plays like he did in that back half of New York, he'll be on this team for a long time and can potentially win us 2 rings. I think he can get us 1. I think he can help us get us 1, but there's also potential to go back-to-back if everything plays out the correct way. Now, getting into the second quote here. All right, he's kind of talking here about another reason that came into his decision for OKC, and this is what he's talking about. The style of play, I think, really fits me. I'm a high IQ player. They have a lot of guys who cut, so I think to me, I'm one of the best passers in the NBA. The Thunder landed their biggest fish yet since they relocated to OKC. I love that. Their biggest fish yet. Perhaps this is the dawn of a new era where modern players are more open to playing with the Thunder than previous generations. The finances are likely the biggest reason, but it's still shocking to see an NBA player willingly choose OKC over the bright lights of New York. Keep that in mind, all right? He willingly chose OKC over potentially the biggest market in the entirety of the NBA. You can get in your head, stuff about like, oh, LA is a bigger market. No, Boston's a bigger market with how much success they've had in the past few years. You can go in and talk about that. New York will always be in that top 3 conversation. A lot of people consider it the biggest market in the world because you got to consider the draft is there. There's so much that happens in New York. It's a city that never sleeps. So having a free agent willingly choose OKC over a destination like New York is huge. And that's because we show a culture. I think that's what we kind of lacked in previous years where we didn't really necessarily have a, defined culture or defined style of play. Now we do. Even in the rebuilding phases, all right? 3 or 4 years ago, even in those time periods, we showed flashes and glimpses of what we were building here in OKC. What our culture was going to be, what our play style was going to be. You could see it through who we drafted and how we played in previous seasons and how we developed and who we brought into our organization in the front office and coaching roles as well. So you can kind of see what we were building. And I think that's going to stand out now in the future when we do attract more big names, because I feel like if we have success in the playoffs, if we make a finals run and win a championship or two, we can bring in even more stars because they're like, okay, they're winning with this culture that they built in a rebuild, and they're still going to keep using it, even though they've had success now. They're not trying to change it up. They're taking on if it isn't broke, we're not going to fix it. All right, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're taking on that kind of mindset, and I think that's what's going to draw in more free agents in the future. And Isaiah Hartenstein is just the beginning. It's just the beginning because we're building a culture and a style of play that fits into the modern day NBA style of play, where everyone needs to pass, everyone needs to be able to shoot the ball decently. And Isaiah Hartenstein, even though he doesn't really shoot the 3 ball a ton, he's only shot it 89 times in his career, 3 times last season. He's shown glimpses where he can shoot it quite well. He can shoot the 3 ball if he needs to. And with our shooting coach Chip, I believe he can develop a 3-point shot and also use his passing abilities. And you're going to see a bunch more screens. Our 5-out style of offense, if he is in that starting lineup, will be able to work with Hartenstein in it. I know people are worried about that, but with his high IQ, like he mentioned, and how good of a passer he is, we can run the 5-out style of offense. Now, the last thing I have here is his, kind of another main reason, last thing I'm going to talk about in this video here, why he came here, and it's the people he can play with, all right? Defensively, having 2 of the top rim protectors on the court at the same time is not easy, Hartenstein said. I'm really excited. To me, he's one of the most talented bigs in the NBA. I think me and him on the court together is going to be very deadly. Hartenstein also said he can help soften Holmgren's workload throughout the season. This was an underrated benefit of his addition. There were times throughout last season when it was evident the 22-year-old battled fatigue. And that's because he's like the only, when you look at size, he's our only true center. I know people say oh, J. Will is listed as a center. He is. He is 6'9", all right? Compared to Isaiah Hartenstein, who is 7 foot tall, and Chet Holmgren, who's 7'1", 7'2". There's 3 to 5 inches of a difference in that position. Now, whether Isaiah Hartenstein starts, or he's coming off the bench as a center, J. Will moves to the power forward, we don't know. J. Will might remain a center and play, maybe 2 to 3 minutes a quarter to give Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren a breather. However, we can live with that. We can, okay? And it's not like J. Will plays bad. He doesn't. He's a good player. It's just he would benefit more at the 4. However, he can play the 5 if needed, but not in long periods of time. He can't play the 5 for 5-6 minutes straight. 2 to 3 minutes, yes, that's fine. But that should be enough to give our guys a little breather at the end of a quarter and then sub them back in. All right? Or even have them stay out there for the first 2 minutes of the last quarter there and then put him back, or you put Hartenstein or Chet back in. One of those 2 options are available, I believe. And that defensive aspect he was talking about, Chet Holmgren, all right? Both of them rated top 10 in the league in rim protection, all right? They both ranked top 10. I believe Chet was 4 and Hartenstein was 7, or it's the other way around, one of the two. Chet finished, second or third in blocks? I know he finished top 5. Hartenstein is also a physical guy who's not afraid to go up and contest a shot at the rim, which is great to have on this team. And so I believe our rim protection, when you're looking at it on paper, and our defense in general, with what all we've brought onto this team so far, is going to be great. I think Isaiah Hartenstein realized that and was like, okay, I can play with another one of, the best rim protectors in the league comparing to going somewhere else, and it all comes down to me down low in the paint because our other guy has injury problems. I think that's what also came down to his decision. That's why he kind of spoke out on. I don't want to say directly it was because Mitchell Robinson has injury problems in New York where he's not completely healthy for the full season, and Chet just came off a season where he played all 82 games after a horrific ankle injury. All right, I don't want to go too far out of that box yet. Kind of sprinkle too much salt on there, but I do think that played a decision into it where he was like, okay, the burden defensively down low in the paint does not fall just directly on me the entire time now. I have help, and I think that's what he realized. It was like, okay, not only is his workload going to get, lighter, so is mine because there's not as much of a burden to me. And so I think that's the fact that he kind of just chose there and was like, okay, I'm not the only guy on this team with size anymore, and that's kind of what led to his decision to OKC, along with the fact that the culture and the style of play here in OKC fits his style of play as well, along with just kind of the decisions. I was like, I just feel like I'm in a better spot here in OKC than I would be in New York. And I truly think that, all right? I truly think he will be in a better spot here in OKC than in New York. It's just one of those things where it's going to take a season to see if all this actually comes true. But it is a great sign to see Isaiah Hartenstein is pumped to be here in OKC, all right? Or as Chet would like to say, welcome to the O, which I still don't know how to feel about that. I might rock it. I want to see, we'll actually have that as our, kind of a little community engagement today for this video, all right? Let me know in the comment section below if you guys are also rocking with welcome to the O when Chet Holmgren said that for Isaiah Hartenstein. Just let me know down in the comment section. That'll be what it is today. But it is a good sign after this little first press conference and, media meeting with everyone here in OKC for Isaiah Hartenstein, where he seems excited and ready to get to work and has the right mindset going into the next season. But that's all I got for today's video. Like I said, you guys know what to say down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this Hartenstein edition, and also if you guys are rocking with the welcome to the O statement Chet had, and I'll see you guys in the next video.